2.0, lose your competitors, not your seat. So by way of introduction, my name is Wes McDonald, and I'm the Vice President for Business Development, and I also work with the marketing group at Audit. And today's session is going to give you some background as to the details behind the two seat-based billing roadshows that we have coming up this year. So first of all, what we're going to look at, one thing I do have in quotes there is the future of managed print, and you'll see why that is in a second. And why is seat-based billing good for both dealers and end users? And this is kind of a critical thing as we talk a little bit about alignment in our industry. Who should attend the SBB Roadshow? And maybe just as importantly, who shouldn't? And what will be covered at the SBB Roadshows? What is the content of the training? Cost and registration details, of course. We're going to look at some testimonials from dealerships that have already been through the seat-based billing roadshows, and SBB speaker introductions. So we will talk with some of the folks that are going to be at the SBB Roadshow and why they were part of it last year and why they're excited to be part of it this year. And then if there are questions at the end, we'll take them. You'll notice that in the presentation there is a chat box. If you do have questions, please put those there. As a bit of housekeeping, we'll get to those questions at the end of the presentation. Further, the group has been muted for the presentation just to avoid background noises such as cats and dogs and coworkers, and we'll get into it. So what you're looking at here is a slide that was actually given in a presentation called Emerging Market Trends for 2018, and this was given by Keypoint Intelligence and InfoTrends. And the slide that you're looking at here was presented by John Shane from InfoTrends, and it's significant for a number of reasons. If you look at the information that's on the left, you can see that the two strongest areas of growth that people were asked to talk about where their interest is. The first one obviously was managed print services at 90.8%. And also the second part was document management and workflow at 86%. Those are two very important trends. If you look over on the right-hand side, they're saying that we will see growth in channel subscription models for managed print and document software usage. And I think the key word there is subscription. For any folks on the call that have seen my past presentations, you'll notice that we have used other examples of it happening in the industry, but buyers really are switching their preferences for how they acquire things, and subscriptions becoming very big. The good news, bad news situation is that today about 91% of office equipment dealers are actively selling managed print. It's good news because obviously it means that customers are, buying into the concept of managed print. But it's also bad news because there is so much more competitive pressure, downward pressure on both the cost per page and other ways that we make money within those management agreements under a cost per page. The second point you'll see that John talked about was that seat-based billing is the future of managed print. And some of the reasons that they list are a lot of reasons that I agree with as well, is that it is a win-win for both customers and office equipment dealers. And we'll talk a little bit about how the math works in that situation. SBB takes away all the manual processes that dealers and customers experience when we're actually trying to capture output volumes. For those that are running managed print services programs today under cost per page, you know how difficult it can be to make sure that you're getting accurate meter reads to be able to bill your customers. On top of that, once you do bill your customers, they then have to go through the exercise of validating those counts. And sometimes there are mistakes, and we have the back and forth of, what customers actually owe us and what they don't owe us. Under a seat-based billing program, that all goes away. And it's key to understand that under seat-based billing, just like any other subscription offering, is that you're seeing your money up front before services are delivered and not afterwards. So for accounts receivable, it's a much cleaner way to do things. And it also simplifies adding or removing services. As they point out, in our world, we've seen it in real life, that if you're an office equipment dealer that's looking to do either cloud services, that's looking to do telephony, that's looking to do document management, that it's very easy for you to actually layer these additional offerings onto the seat once you have a common base way that you're billing the customer. The last point that they offered was that software billing is that there's a big trend to offer software subscription models, and they believe that it's going to have a huge impact on the document industry. So for those that are already working with Print Audit, you understand that we switched to a 100% subscription model probably 5 years ago, and you're starting to see the trend with some other providers as well. So what's wrong with the cost per page model? What I want to do here is just give you a second to look at a quote here from Alison Fresco, Research Director at U.S. Hard Copy Peripherals, Trackers, and Forecasts. And that's a long title, but what he's saying is very important, is that the MFP installed base is expected to decline during the forecast period from 2017 to 2021 because of slowing shipment volume. The declining installed base, when combined with segment-level AMPV declines, results in an overall declining page volume forecast. The hardware market is overall mature. And, certainly I'm not trying to be the bearer of bad news here by sort of, putting this here, but, those of us that have been in the office equipment space long enough understand that hardware shipments, for the same pages per minute that devices were delivering 5 years ago, that they're much less expensive because of different digitization efforts at customer locations, that people are starting to print, fewer volumes per user. So this is the reality that we're facing in 2018, and certainly, in the foreseeable future, that our billing model under cost per page certainly does not align with, the changing dynamics in the marketplace. It means that for each and every account that we currently have under a cost per page agreement, that revenues are going to go down because of more competitive cost per page, and they're going to be further conflagrated by the fact that people are printing less. So the CPP model, if you're an office equipment dealer, unless you're winning more new business than ever before, certainly doesn't look very good. Okay, so when we talk about seat-based billing, what does that mean? Well, SBB, as it's become known as now, for managed print, is really just a flat fee which is billed per end user per month and covers support for all the print-enabled devices used by each of those people in that office. So this could entail supporting locally connected printers, desktop printers, multifunction devices, scanners, fax machines, and all the related consumables, services, parts, and software. So hopefully what you find in this is that the definition is not very much different from what we see in a typical cost per page arrangement, only instead of looking at billing by the pages, we're actually looking at billing by users. What you will find is at the seat-based billing roadshows is that there is a further opportunity through user workflow management to really make this a much more profitable experience and a much more streamlined experience than we currently have with cost per page today. Oops. So one of the things here that I wanted to talk a little bit about is that we are seeing a lot of changes in the marketplace, both at the OEM level. Obviously, if you look at the news for certain OEMs, that there's been dramatic news stories in 2018 already for some of the changes with some of the people that we're used to traditionally buying our equipment and supplies from. And adding to that is that we're seeing the birth of these mega dealers, so that because, again, as the quote earlier said, that we're in a mature market, a lot of dealers are electing to, basically sort of fold up their tent poles, and they're selling to some of these large mega dealers. And who some of those mega dealers are. And the question is, when you're competing against those mega providers under a cost per page program, that it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible. Many of the seat-based billing dealers that I work with are winning deals, and they're building deals based on the seat-based model to take the conversation away from cost per page when they're dealing with these mega dealers in some of their marketplaces. So if you are up against some of these mega dealers, you have to do something different. And the question is, if I'm going to do something different, what does that mean? Does that mean I get out of management in the first place? Of course not. What it means is that the way that we shape the offering for the customer has to be more appealing than the traditional model that exists. For those that aren't familiar with the Purple Cow story, it's kind of a fun one to illustrate, what we're talking about here by being different, within our managed print services practices. So imagine, if you will, that it's a nice weekend and you're taking the family for a drive, and you're going to, spend the weekend in the countryside. And like all families, the road trip usually starts off pretty fun. And like all families, the road trip, as the day wears on, starts to wear on tempers, people having to use the washroom, or people being tired of being in the car. And, so we play games like counting cows in the field, or punch buggy yellow or other things to try and keep everyone occupied and happy. But by the end of the day, none of that's working. And so we pull into a gas station and the family gets out of the car tired. And just out of the corner of your eye, you notice in the field by the gas station that there's this purple cow standing there. And you mention that to your family. Hey, everyone, look, there's a purple cow over in that field. And the next thing you do is go over and get closer to the fence to see if you can get a better look at this purple cow and find out why it's purple. Has it been dyed? Was this cow born purple? What makes it so different? And before long, crowds of other people start coming up behind you because they see your interest in this purple cow. And the key thing here is that, like managed print services or cost per page, it's still a cow. The only thing I've said is that it's purple. I didn't say that, there was an alien ship above it that was beaming it away. I didn't say that it was 10 times larger than a normal cow. It's just that the difference in that cow was enough to get your attention. And seat-based billing is that purple cow for many dealers that are currently employing seat-based billing as they're competing against some of these other mega dealers. All right, so who's doing it today? This list continues to get bigger and bigger. If you look at a list of the companies that are here, you probably recognize quite a few of these names. These are all people that have attended our seat-based billing roadshows in the past and have built their own seat-based billing practices. So one of the things that we do at the end of a seat-based billing roadshow is once you send in your surveys from the training, then we send you back your SBB certified member credentials and information. And you can see that on the right-hand side top of the screen, the SBB certified member by sbbcertified.com. This lets your customers know that you've actually done the base work to be able to deliver a seat-based billing program. And all of our seat-based billing dealers that you see in this list today use it on their websites, use it in their marketing materials, use it in any communications with customers as they start to introduce the new seat-based billing platform, as well as over and above their existing current cost per page programs. So earlier we talked about this idea of dealers and customers both liking SBB, and the question is why? And it really is a question of alignment. If you think of cost per page, especially in this current climate where users are wanting to print less and actually are starting to print less, we see a complete misalignment in what we want and what they want. So under a cost per page program, because our revenue is tied to those pages, we obviously want the customer to print more and hopefully print more color because we make a lot more money and a lot more profit on those color pages. Conversely, the end user wants to print less. They are obsessed with digital workflows. They are looking at ways to digitize their workflows to both improve the efficiency of what they're doing in the office place, as well as decreasing the related costs, related to those transactions. So we want them to print more. They want to print less. Well, under a seat-based billing contract, what you're looking at here is an example from a calculator that you will actually be provided with at the Seat-Based Billing Roadshow, which takes you through the math of how we save both the customer money and how we as a dealership make more money under a seat-based program. So you can see on the left that when we did the assessment for this customer, that the spendings were $29,700 for the year. And in the future state, once we applied some workflow efficiencies, some examples would be color email being converted to black and white, increasing the level of duplex that they're doing, installing secure release applications so that users don't print multiple copies of the same document when they only want one. In that case, then the customer spend through these workflow improvements goes down to $23,763 for a savings of $5,900 a year, or almost 20% of their total spend. The key thing there, though, is that those savings are not being derived from a cheaper cost per page or from a cheaper offering. They're being derived by helping the customer to do a better job of printing the things that they need to on a daily basis. How does that help us? Well, when we look over on the other side at the end of this calculator, we can see that the gross profit per user, the total gross profit that's being made in that account every month, has actually increased by $0.33. And that means that in that account, we're seeing a total gross profit increase of just about 6.5%. And through these exercises, we've seen them anywhere from 5% to 20%. So because we're not cutting into our own supplies and materials costs, because we are using solution sets which garner very high margins, that allows us to both deliver these significant savings to the customer as well as to increase the amount of money that we're actually making that we get to keep per account. And that's pretty exciting. Okay. Some of the other reasons that customers and dealers both like SBB, the first one at the top there, we've discovered over the last couple of years that it is a huge win for customers to be able to have 100% budgetability for their printing costs. So under a cost per page program, it's difficult. We've always said that, one of the main benefits of a cost per page program is savings, much to our own detriment, because unfortunately we've actually delivered that to the customer at the expense of the things, the physical pieces that we sell. But customers want 100% budgetability of cost. It doesn't necessarily mean they want the cheapest option. And when we give them that ability to actually budget for their print by head count, that we deliver on that. And in the last couple of years, that's been a huge value add and sell feature, in the SBB sales process. The next one is potential cost reductions through workflow improvements, so that customers start to understand that by doing things better, that they can see savings, as opposed to looking for the cheapest option. The third one is unified billing for multiple services and offerings. I don't know if anyone caught the news last year, but Print Audit purchased a little company called NeoStream, which is a document management services company. And you're going to be hearing a little bit more from them at the road shows as well, because this seat allows us to offer other things like document management, like cloud services, like telephony on top of that seat. So if you're looking to grow as an office equipment dealer by diversifying into some other services, then seat-based billing really is really important. You got to think about it. The way that we bill customers today is very confusing sometimes. We sell them a piece of hardware, or we provide them a separate lease for that piece of equipment. Then we provide them a cost per page for the toner and service. And if they want additional software solutions, we sell that to them for a fixed base price with some kind of maintenance year after year of 20 or 30%. So in that list, I've listed, 4 different ways that our customers are paying us, a single provider, for many different things. And under this unified billing platform of the seat, it simplifies that whole process for our customers and makes it easy for them to say yes. Another great feature is improved document security. When we speak with our customers, we're discovering that security is probably the largest thing that they're looking for help with. If that's cybersecurity, or if that's file security, or if that's physical document production. And solutions necessary for being able to deliver good SBB really improve that document security through things like secure release, through embedded solutions on the multifunctions, etc. The next one is guaranteed savings. So I've been in managed print for a lot of years, for over 16 years now. And unfortunately, one of the things that customers are always looking for is, how can you save me money? And unfortunately for us as dealer, that's often come at the expense of our margins. And the other unfortunate part is that when we tell a customer we're going to save them money, they go back into their boardroom after we leave, and they have a conversation about how much of that is real. So if we tell them that they're going to sell or save 50% of their spend on print, or 25%, by the time they come out of that boardroom on their own, they've cut that savings amount in half. And it's because we're basing it on future behaviors. Under a seat-based program, those savings are apparent right from day one because of the cost that they know they're going to be paying, that budgetable cost per seat, which is really cool. The other one is measurability of sustainability metrics. So although most customers don't want to pay for sustainability metrics, any customer that I've spoken with loves to have them for their annual reports and for other customer-facing things that they're doing to show that they're actually trying to do a better job. And that's also, a capability under the seat-based program. Okay. One of the things that I always encourage people to do, and whenever I start working with a dealer that is embarking on their seat-based billing journey, is let's look at those deals that you have today, those unprofitable deals, those ones that are actually losing you money, and let's start with those and make those profitable. So we can take those bad accounts, that are bad probably due to competitive pressures. If usually once we've got to our third contract renewal for a customer, that we're hardly making money on that customer unless we've added new things. and poor margins upon cost per page contract renewals, because as we've seen, there's a huge downward pressure on that. So let's take those customers, the ones that we know are not making us money, the ones that we know we have some potential of losing to a mega dealer or somebody else in the next round of contract negotiations, and switch them to something that is going to give us much longer stickiness and contract terms with that customer. The other thing that it does is it kind of forces us to up our game with user management. And as we know, all of the big innovations right now in the world are not related to anything mechanical, but everything to do with data and intelligence. So our customers are starting to demand more from us for what we can actually provide them with that data, control, and intelligence. And by employing seat-based billing, that we have to use big data that's produced by the users so we can see who's printing, what kinds of documents they're printing, how much is color, how much is black and white, and the relationship with the devices that they're using. So this really takes us from being a traditional managed print provider who's just doing cost per page and ups the game for how much more detail and how much more richness that information can be used to help our customers. And it forces us to, again, look at workflow to raise our game, so that instead of just focusing on the devices, once we lift our heads up from looking at that panel on the copier and look around the office and start looking at a customer's workflow, that we can help them with more things that will generate more revenue for us and more efficiencies for the customer. And again, it's a level platform for future dealer growth. So for those dealers on the call that are looking to grow, if I go on your website, I'm sure I'll see a section on managed IT. You could be looking at telephony and cloud and some of these other things. Let's get all of those things, including managed print, on a unified billing platform. And then we can start to explore new ways to layer the seat in the future. And as we do have someone from NeoStream on the call today, such as document management, can you layer those kind of things on the seat as well? Okay, so what is the Roadshow? The purpose of today's webinar is to give you some background on what seat-based billing is, where it's come for us, and how you can get involved. So the Seat-Based Billing Roadshow is a powerful half-day learning event, and we're going to have 2 of them this time. It's going to arm your company with all the necessary components that you need to successfully deliver a seat-based billing program. And that could be using the existing tool set you have or exploring new tool sets that you don't have today. But it's going to give you the fundamental skeleton to make sure that when you go out into the world and offer a seat-based billing offering, that you're going to do so profitably. The third thing is that seat-based billing will allow you to win more deals and to capture greater margins on those deals and to engage more net new customers. And every seat-based billing dealer that I work with today is finding it easier to get more deals, that they're making more money on those deals, and that they have new customers to talk to that maybe weren't listening to their message in the past. So it really works. So what's going to be covered? As we talked about, we're going to be talking about the marketing and messaging, so how you actually develop your brand to be able to go forth with your customer and express your expertise in seat-based billing, what the benefits are, etc. Obviously, if you're selling managed print per seat, that the sales funnel and the way that you compensate your sales reps may change. And so we'll cover different models for sales compensation and funnel management. We'll also look at the assessment process. So certainly in seat-based billing, it's not as simple as taking your existing, cost per page contract and converting it to users. No, you've got to understand the who, what, why, when, and where of document production. And again, try and use the customer's workflow to generate savings instead of the things that you sell. And so a user-based assessment is really important in that. We'll talk about the fundamentals. The seat-based billing contract language. So clearly, if you're delivering this managed print services program under a different model than cost per page, there's a lot of different contractual considerations. You might have been thinking about some of those on the phone call today. And we cover all of the language that you're going to want to include in your new seat-based billing contract to make sure that you're both protected and to make sure that from the very start, you and your customers are on the same page. The other one is finance and invoice options. And I always get excited on this one because it seems like a very simple thing, but in our industry, there's an expression that says, if you ain't leasing, you ain't living. And, unfortunately, seat-based billing does have some different requirements for how you finance those deals. And one of the members on the call today, Great America Leasing, has designed the world's first finance agreement for being able to deliver a seat-based billing contract. And so we'll cover what those elements are, what you need to be careful of, et cetera. Wholesale options. So there are certain leaders in the industries like Clover Imaging Group, and Aldo, I won't try and take your thunder, but that were pioneers in the early days of cost per page, offering some fantastic wholesale options, for dealers that wanted to make sure that they had a secure way of understanding what their margins were going to look like and delivery of, cost in their programs. Well, thanks to Clover Imaging Group, that option now exists today for seat-based billing as well. Converged services options. So obviously, as we've talked about throughout this presentation, that an office equipment dealer in the future in 2021 is going to look a lot different than an office equipment dealer from 5 years ago. And that means that some of these other offerings that you have, we'll talk about what some of those are and how you can actually use your quarterly review process and in your sales process to be able to start layering other services on top of those seats. And a whole lot more. We find that, at the seat-based billing roadshows that a lot of dealers contribute some fantastic ideas for things that we actually incorporate into the future ones. And we certainly look forward to you doing the same with us. So who should attend? Well, clearly the roadshows are typically designed for dealer principals and senior managers. At Print Audit, we do have mentorship programs and training programs for, sales reps and for other people once you actually, determine that you're going to move down this road. But this show really is about fundamentals and strategy. It's making sure that all of the elements that you need to consider for your business, from not just doing cost per page anymore, but adding a seat-based billing to your portfolio, that you understand what all of those things are and who you need to go back to at the office to make them a reality. So certainly we encourage more than one person from a dealership as a dealer principal or as a senior manager. Think of some of the other people that you think can get value from hearing the message up front. So if that's a department head for your sales group, if that's somebody who's handling finance and back office for your billing, your accounts payable and receivables, those that are in charge of your service department, because obviously how you measure and pay people on service could change with seat-based billing as well. And of course, marketing. So someone to try and get the brand value proposition out to your customer base with this new offering. So just make sure that anyone that does sign up is pretty senior. Again, it's not really geared towards sales reps or others. We have other training, for that once you've determined that you're going to go down this road. And of course, you don't just have to take our word for it, that we have lots of dealers now which you can speak with, and you can see examples of what they're doing with seat-based billing. So A&A Office Systems is one of the first people to work with us on seat-based billing, and they're knocking it out of the park. As you can see here from John Pertenio, General Sales Manager at A&A, A&A Office Systems has always prided itself on cutting-edge services and forward-thinking business models. With seat-based billing, we have an opportunity to remain agile and at the forefront of the competition, the competitive managed print services market. So they've been using seat-based billing to do what they've always done, which is to lead the marketplace. Another one that we have is Harris Technologies, and this is a quote I quite like. As a dealer going up against larger competitors, so i.e. some of these mega dealers, with seemingly unlimited resources, Harris Technologies Inc. Needed a way to stand out. And we do that by hyper-focusing on reducing print volume. And notice that line, that they're actually working to actually help customers to reduce their print volume, something our larger competitors avoid. In order for the approach to be profitable, we had to change the way we bill our clients, and the answer was seat-based billing. And another one here, and this is actually one of our Canadian partners, working with Print Audit and partnering on the SBB Council provided us some unique insight on how we can provide alternative approaches for growing our managed print services business. We took these ideas and were successful in gaining new business by using the SBB methodology. And a quote here from Jeff Bendix, and I've personally worked with Jeff on a few deals, and the latest one was actually pretty exciting because he actually, now that he's been doing it for a while, measured the increase in profitability. And as he says here, as an OED and as MSP, because Jeff actually has both businesses, offering seat-based billing for managed print is a no-brainer. We're closing SBB contracts that are more profitable than the cost per page contracts they are replacing. SBB works. So there you have it. That is, some of the messages from some of the previous dealers who have worked with us through the SBB roadshows. And now what I'd like to do is just take a minute and talk about some of the names that you see on the screen here. So one thing that is different about these roadshows, they're not sponsored. They're not, product pitches. The requirement for partnership is to make sure that you have demonstrated some new thing that can be used in the world of seat-based billing to help dealers make more money. So everyone that you see on this page has actually committed to seat-based billing and created things that will help you as a dealer to more actively and more profitably make money at this in the marketplace. So I'm just going to speak to Print Audit first. I've been with Print Audit now for almost 5 years, and one of the things that I love about Print Audit is that they're the company that continuously wants to help dealers do more. And evidence of that, we just released, for those that are customers and for those that would like to learn more, that we just released Infinite User Management. So it is the newest platform for user management in the industry, period. The second thing that we did was we purchased a company called NeoStream Technologies, and to be able to take advantage of and to help our dealers to take advantage of the growing interest in document management and document workflow solutions. And obviously with seat-based billing, Print Audit has led this marketplace. We have done everything we can to work with partners and to work with dealers to make SBB a reality. And we're the first and only provider in the marketplace to have done this. Why do we do all these things? Well, aside from being a progressive company, that the healthier our dealer base continues to be, in other words, the more they adapt to the changes that are happening in the marketplace to be stronger dealerships, the better it is for us. 100% of Print Audit's revenue comes from subscription revenue, and if our dealer community isn't healthy, then we're not healthy. So seat-based billing has been really a fundamental part of our strategy to help save the office equipment industry. And with that, I will hand things over to Tanya Stone at Great America to talk about why Great America is involved with seat-based billing.
Thank you, Wes. Again, this is Tanya Stone at Great America. And I too, like West, feel like our main goal in life is to make our dealers more successful in the long term. And so being involved in the Seat-Based Billing Roadshow is just another way and another opportunity for us to help our dealers evolve their businesses. It's one thing to talk theoretically about how we would do the seat-based billing, but one of the things we've really focused on is how do you change from that strategic, conceptual to actually how do we execute upon it. As Wes mentioned earlier, financing is an integral part of our dealers' business. And so they need to understand, what does that actually mean to them? What does that mean to them from a finance perspective? What does it mean from a servicing perspective? As a finance company, we love contracts, so we're here to help our dealers put those contracts together that not only protect them, but also protect their customers' relationship with them. And so our focus in the roadshows are how do we make that conceptual concept into reality? So we focus primarily on the contracts piece, and then also it's a very important thing to be able to invoice for the service that you're providing. And so using the ERPs that you're already using in your daily world, how can we help you automate that invoicing process? Many times finance companies are going to be billing on your behalf. And so we want to make sure that you understand as a dealer, how do you put that into your system so that it will invoice in the way that you want it to and the way that your finance company can be doing it for you. And so those are kind of the two primary aspects that we focus on during the roadshow, and we feel that that's really key, because if you don't know how to actually execute this program, it can be as wonderful of a program as possible, but you're not going to see the benefits that Wes had talked about unless you're actually able to execute it. One other point is, since we started the roadshows initially, we have started booking cost per or seat-based billing contracts. It's no longer just the cost per that dealers are putting in front of their customers. They're putting the seat-based billing in front. And we've seen some dealers have some real good success with that. And we're excited to help move this ball even further.
Well, that's great. Thank you very much, Tanya. It's always been great to work with you in the roadshows and in seat-based billing in general. And I just want to make a note for all those that are on the call that are considering going to the show that Great America's section on finance for SBB is always one of the highest rated portions of the training. So thank you. And next is another great friend of ours in the industry, Clover Imaging Group. I'd like to welcome Aldo to the call. And Aldo, maybe you can talk a little bit about, what you've done with the road shows and where you see them going and what benefits you see there.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. This is Aldo Spencieri with Clover. Wes and I were talking a little bit about this morning, and just to reflect on last year's road shows. And he mentioned a little bit that we've put together a wholesale option under a cost per seat or seat-based bill. But what my experience really was with the road shows last year was educational, not just educating dealers on the finer points of seat-based billing compared to cost per seat and how to do the assessment and how to implement seat-based billing experience, but it was educational for us as well in putting together our wholesale option. We learned of some of the needs and some of the wants from the dealers on how to make our program better. So it was very educational. When we look into the future and the future of managed print and its next evolution, we truly believe that the evolution of print is going to focus more on the user and on the document. With print being a subset of that managed print. So as Clover and as an industry, we truly believe in this concept and seat-based billing. It's a way to invoice. We've gotten too stuck on cost per page as being managed print, and what managed print is not cost per page. That's just a way to bill your customer. And more of us are understanding that subscription-based fees are the way to go. Wes mentioned it earlier, where you can layer on services that you bring on additional services, capturing more not only of the customer's wallet, but of the customer's partnership. And once you're there with that partnership with multiple layers of services, and assuming you're doing a good job, you're not going to lose that customer. So, if you wrap your mind around all of that and bring that and understand how to do that, it's a lot easier to bring a seat-based bill, managed print, or managed document concept to your customer than it is just talking about, I'm going to bill you for the number of pages and we'll try to save you money. So we really believe, that the future, however difficult it is to predict, that the winning combination of better print management, focus on the document, focus on the user instead of the machine, and bringing that under a subscription fee or predictable fee, repeatable fee under seat-based billing is where the future is.
That's great. Thank you very much, Aldo.
Oh, you're welcome.
And last but certainly not least, I'd like to introduce Andrew Woods from NeoStream. And this particular company is very near and dear to my heart, and to a lot of our Premier members now who have also become Prime members under the document management program that we offer. So Andrew is the first of the crew here that's actually going to be new to the seat-based billing roadshows this year. So maybe, Andrew, you can talk a little bit about, why you think seat-based billing, what you like about it and what aligns with what NeoStream is doing.
Yeah, thank you, Wes. So very excited to be a part of this now. I really see cloud document management as an awesome avenue at increasing your recurring seat-based revenue within your clients. Electronic document management, it's really a high-value piece for your clients, and it's something that they're likely probably struggling with. And it's one of those things that you can add on to your seat price now. So what we do is we offer some really easy startup templates and products for you to use, so you can actually do it right. And what happens if you implement a document management solution correctly and properly, you can really change the way your clients work with their documents. You make them more efficient. They know where to find and store their documents, increase security, all those great things. You really change the way they work. And what that does is it creates a trusted relationship within your clients, really ingrains you in the account. So it's another piece of the document lifecycle that you now own and are involved in. And then what we've seen over our years of experience is that it really creates multi-year relationships with your clients where you have great recurring revenue the whole time and really good opportunities for professional services as well. So I really think, that the electronic document management side is a great way to increase your seat price and a great opportunity for dealers looking to diversify in this space.
Well, that's great. I really appreciate it, Andrew. And yeah, it's been exciting for me seeing just how different a seat-based approach for document management is as well in the marketplace. And it's a very exciting innovation to see. So excited to have you on board and look forward to being in the first roadshow with you. And that leads us to the next slide is where are these going to be? So the first roadshow is actually coming up April 17th, 2018 in Chicago. This will be held from 1 o'clock p.m. until 5 p.m. at the Palmer House Hilton. And for anyone that's ever been to that hotel, it's a fantastic venue. We're really excited to be doing this one in conjunction with Intech Ignite. So for those that are actually going to that event anyway, you've now got a reason to come a little bit earlier. And also to let you know that you don't need to be going to the Intech event necessarily to go to the roadshow. That is completely separate, standalone, event as well. So if you just want to show up for just our piece of it, it's 1 to 5 p.m. on April 17th in Chicago. The second event that we're going to hold is on October 18th, 2018 in Asheville, North Carolina. So the time in that one we're still working out. We do know where we're going to hold it, which is at the Renaissance Hotel. And this is in conjunction with the BTA Fall Colors events. And we were really happy last year and excited to actually do all three of our road shows from last year with the BTA because the members are, very progressive. So if you're looking to be at, again, either, the entire event for BTA Fall Colors, come early and make sure you get in on the road show, or just come to the road show, as a standalone event on its own. Cost, the regular rate is $495, and an early bird special if you register before March 16th. For the first one. So that'll take your price down to $395. And there's only 15 seats per location and only 2 events. And we have limited the number of dealerships that are going to be able to attend these events to make sure that we can focus on the learning, to make sure that it's a small enough gathering of dealerships to actually make sure that you leave with a lot of valuable content and how you can go back to the office and start your SBB, program after leaving the event. So make sure you register. Make sure you register early to get that discounted value. As our tagline for this one is, lose your competitors, not your seat. We certainly believe that seat-based billing, as you've seen from some of the statistics that we presented earlier from organizations like Keypoint Intelligence, InfoTrends, IDC, and others, are all pointing to the fact that this is something to be looking at for the future of your dealership. And as we all know, that the people that start these things earlier than later are the ones that benefit the most. So we encourage you to join us on this journey of transforming your office equipment dealership to being able to layer on a seat-based billing offering with your traditional cost per page offering so that you're at the forefront as the market starts to shift in this direction in a more permanent way. For those that were involved with cost per page in the early days, I know myself, Aldo, we've been there together, Tanya, from the very early days of cost per page, that it was very much like seat-based billing, that it was the brave few that actually started the march forward and had the most benefit from, the programs going forward. So we're excited to work with you on seat-based billing, and we look forward to seeing you at the road shows. Thank you very much for joining the call, everybody.